Mi nílé jọ. Torí pé mo fẹ́ pa yín ni. Àtàbẹ́ sílẹ̀ ni mo ti fẹ́ pa yín.
Hey, Nollywood fans. Welcome back to the channel, where today we're diving deep into one of the most intense, emotional, and thought-provoking Nollywood films of 2025, Emptiness. If you've ever felt the weight of society's expectations, the pain of family pressures, or the heartbreaking consequences of unresolved trauma, then this film is going to hit you hard. Starring the iconic Odunlade Adekola, the talented Nike Hamzat, and a powerful supporting cast, Emptiness unpacks the raw realities of infertility, judgment, and the psychological toll these issues take on relationships. It's not just a movie, it's a journey that forces us to ask, what would we do when life's pressures threaten to tear us apart? If you haven't seen Emptiness yet, trust me, this recap will have you hooked. And by the end of this video, you'll want to watch it, if only to see how the powerful themes and unforgettable performances unfold on screen. So, buckle up, because we're about to explore a story of love, loss, and the devastating emptiness that comes with societal and familial expectations. The film opens on a seemingly ordinary day in the life of Akinyemi, a professional going through his usual rounds, inspecting homes and viewing properties. But this day is anything but ordinary. As he tours a property with a potential seller, his attention is drawn to something out of the ordinary. A woman smoking in the middle of the property in an undeveloped bush. Akinyemi is taken aback, and with a certain judgmental tone, he begins to berate the woman for her actions. "How can you smoke in public like this?" he questions, clearly disapproving of her behavior. But what follows next is unexpected. A brief moment of recognition. The woman turns around, and in her eyes, there's an instant flash of familiarity. She begins to reflect, trying to convince herself that this is not the same person from her past. But as she compares Akinyemi in her memory to the man standing before her, she realizes he's taller, older, but still somehow familiar. This subtle, lingering connection sets the stage for the deeper layers of the film. It's a moment filled with unspoken emotions and unresolved history, hinting that these characters are linked by more than just chance. The next scene takes us into the intimate yet strained atmosphere of Bamidele and Sola's home. Bamidele, the husband, arrives home after a long day, expecting to find some solace in the comfort of his wife. Instead, he finds Sola deep in prayer, her hands clasped as she seeks divine intervention for a miracle she desperately needs. A child. Her prayer is heartfelt, but there's an undeniable sadness in her voice. It's not just a prayer for a child, it's a cry for validation, for the fulfillment of a deeply personal desire that has been unfulfilled for years. Her voice cracks as she prays, and Bamidele, upon hearing her, enters the room quietly. There's a heavy silence as the weight of their shared pain settles between them. Bamidele, clearly affected by the situation, tries to offer reassurance. "You don't need to worry," he says. "Medically, we're both fine." There's nothing wrong, but his words feel hollow. Sola's pain isn't something that can be solved with logic or facts. She's not just seeking medical reassurance. She's grieving the loss of what could have been, and it's eating away at her from the inside out. When Bamidele suggests that she might want to change her church, implying that her current place of worship isn't bringing the results she seeks, Sola is shocked. "Are you complaining now?" she responds, her voice a mixture of disbelief and hurt. The suggestion feels like a betrayal, like her husband is giving up on the only thing that has given her hope. Bamidele tries to backpedal, but the damage is done. His words echo those of his mother, who has been relentless in her criticisms of Sola's childlessness. Bamidele reassures her that he still loves her, even without a child, but his words ring hollow against the backdrop of their unspoken resentment. This is no longer just about infertility. It's about a marriage fractured by the weight of expectations, both from the outside world and within their home. The tension in the couple's home continues to build. As Bamidele leans in to kiss Sola, he recoils, suddenly struck by the strong, unmistakable scent of her perfume. He doesn't say it immediately, but the fragrance, once innocuous, now smells like something far more dangerous. "It smells like weed," he mutters, the realization hitting him. Sola, defensive as ever, responds sharply, "This is the perfume I like." It makes my spirits high, but Bamidele isn't interested in her defense. The perfume she's been wearing has always had a strange quality to it. As the film progresses, the story turns back to the family dynamics that are driving a wedge between Bamidele and Sola. We see Bamidele's mother once again, this time arriving unannounced in their home. As soon as she steps inside, she begins berating Sola. She accuses her of being the reason Bamidele hasn't been answering her calls, and criticizes her for not bearing children. "If you can't give him a child, at least give him something useful," the mother demands, as if Sola's worth is solely defined by her ability to bear children. This moment, filled with sharp words and harsh judgments, is a clear illustration of the societal pressure on women to be mothers. It's not just Bamidele's mother who feels this way. It's society at large. Sola, stunned by the verbal assault, tries to defend herself, but her words fall on deaf ears. Bamidele, caught in the middle, is unable to protect his wife from his mother's cruelty. His frustration grows, but he is too afraid to challenge his mother, knowing that doing so would only escalate the conflict. Instead, he tries to placate both women, caught between his love for his wife and his loyalty to his mother. The situation grows more dire as Sola, overwhelmed by the constant pressure, leaves their home in the middle of the night. She finds solace in the only thing that has given her a temporary escape: smoking weed at a local spot. But a sense of control slips further when a thug approaches her, trying to take a photo of her. In a fit of rage, she attacks him, stabbing a bottle to his arm. This violent outburst signals just how far Sola has fallen. She's no longer just a woman desperate for a child. She's a woman lost, consumed by her pain and frustration. After the traumatic events of the previous night, the film takes a brief pause to offer a glimmer of hope. The scene shifts to Akinyemi and his family. They are going about their day when the eldest daughter, who had experienced a disturbing nightmare, approaches her father. The dream she describes is unsettling. She saw herself and her younger sisters trapped in a fire, with a woman standing over them, threatening to kill them. The nightmare shakes Akinyemi to his core, but it's also a stark warning. The film uses this dream sequence as a symbolic moment, foretelling the violent, tragic fate that will soon unfold. Akinyemi's reaction, his concern and fear, show just how deeply he is tied to the events, even if he doesn't yet fully understand how his life is connected to Sola's rage. Together with his daughter, they decide that the best course of action is to seek spiritual help. They turn to prayer, a moment of vulnerability where they realize the danger their family is in. There's a sense of powerlessness here, as Akinyemi and his daughter wrestle with the possibility that something darker and more sinister is at play. But as the film progresses, it becomes clear that hope is fleeting. Sola, in a moment of madness, takes the drastic step of kidnapping two of Akinyemi's daughters. The sense of shock is overwhelming as she ties them up, declaring that she will kill them slowly. This chilling act marks the point of no return for Sola. She has completely lost herself to her despair, her anger, and her grief. In her mind, she has nothing left to lose. Her actions are no longer about infertility or societal pressure. They are driven by vengeance. She sees no way out of her pain except through inflicting it on others. Akinyemi, desperately trying to contact his daughters, grows more frantic as he realizes something is terribly wrong. His attempts to reach them go unanswered, and it's only after a chilling phone call that he learns the truth. His daughters are dead, victims of Sola's unhinged rage. The tragedy is almost unbearable, and Akinyemi's grief is palpable as he races to the scene. He finds his daughters lifeless, and the camera lingers on his expression, an agonizing mix of disbelief, sorrow, and rage. The loss of his children is more than just a personal tragedy. It's a symbolic loss, one that represents the unraveling of a community, a family, and the fragile threads that hold everything together. In the aftermath of the deaths, Akinyemi is consumed by his grief, but he also begins to suspect something deeper at play. He recalls his recent interactions with Bamidele, and the thought hits him. Could the recent meeting between them be more than just coincidence? The film uses this moment to add another layer of tension as Akinyemi starts to connect the dots between his family's tragedy and Bamidele's recent reappearance in his life. In a scene at the police station, Akinyemi reports his suspicions. He reveals that Bamidele is the only new person he's met recently and the only one he's given his contact information to. His gut feeling tells him that Bamidele may have played a role in his daughter's deaths, even though there's no concrete evidence to prove it. As the investigation picks up, we see the tension building. Akinyemi's grief and rage are now focused on Bamidele, and the audience feels the weight of his pain. While the investigation continues, the film takes another gut-wrenching turn. Bamidele's eldest daughter receives a phone call telling her that her father has been in an accident. Worried, she rushes out to meet him, unaware of the danger awaiting her. In a tragic twist, she is murdered by Sola, who is consumed by a desire for revenge and anger at the world that has failed her. The film doesn't shy away from the rawness of this moment. The death of Akinyemi's daughter is a turning point, a point where the audience realizes that the damage has been done, and the consequences of their actions are irreversible. The police, alerted to the murder, begin to piece together the story. They find witnesses who have been too afraid to speak up, fearing for their own safety. As they close in on Sola, the film moves toward its tragic conclusion, where the full scope of her emotional and psychological unraveling is revealed. In the film's final act, Sola is confronted by Bamidele, and the truth comes crashing down. She admits to everything, the kidnapping, the murder of Akinyemi's daughters, and the deep-seated pain that has driven her to commit such unspeakable acts. Her confession is not just an acknowledgement of guilt, it's a revelation of the depth of her suffering. In a powerful flashback, we learn the truth about Sola's past, a painful memory that explains the emotional scars that have shaped her. We discover that before she met Bamidele, Sola was a victim of a horrific crime. She had been kidnapped and used for rituals, and it was during that dark time that her womb was destroyed. This revelation hits Bamidele hard. He learns that the person he thought he knew, the woman he loved, was in fact a victim of unimaginable trauma. This moment of clarity, however, does little to undo the damage. The pain is too deep, and the scars too visible. Bamidele is forced to confront the truth that he, too, is complicit in her suffering. In a moment of regret, Bamidele acknowledges his role in her pain. He confesses that he, too, was part of a dark chapter in their shared history. The truth is laid bare. Bamidele in his youth had been involved in criminal activities with a group that had caused irreparable harm to Sola. This was the act that had stripped her of the chance to have children. The weight of this revelation is overwhelming, and as Bamidele tries to apologize, Sola, consumed by rage and sorrow, points a gun at him. In the final moments, she shoots him, marking the tragic end to their tumultuous relationship. The final scenes bring the police into the picture once again as they close in on Sola. She is arrested, and as she is led away to the police station, she tells Akinyemi, that she will be the one to kill him next. The haunting words echo in the air, leaving the audience with a sense of finality. In a final twist, we see Akinyemi's involvement in the dark underworld that has caused so much destruction. He had once been the orchestrator of what Sola had been a victim of, and it is his greed and selfishness that led to her tragic fate. The film ends with the haunting realization that, in the end, both Sola and Akinyemi are empty, trapped by their own actions, regrets, and desires. The emotional toll of their choices leaves them broken, as the audience is left to contemplate the devastating cost of selfishness and the profound emptiness it creates. What starts as a simple story of a couple battling infertility soon spirals into a dark tale of secrets, betrayals, and unimaginable loss. Emptiness shows us that when society's expectations push us to the brink, it's not just our relationships that suffer, it's our very souls. Through the devastating twists and turns, we witness Isola's emotional breakdown, Bamidele's quiet regret, and Akinyemi's tragic involvement in a past filled with painful memories. The film leaves us wondering, how far would we go to feel the emptiness inside us? By the end of Emptiness, it's clear. Every action has consequences, and in the end, all the characters are left grappling with the truth of their own mistakes, their broken promises, and the tragic cost of their choices. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying with us through the emotional roller coaster. But before you go, here are a few things you can do to stay connected and share your thoughts.